sign up. And the majority topic that looks like you want to discuss tonight is public safety at the Morton Middle School. Now, that topic is not on tonight's agenda. However, as mayor and also as chair of the school committee, I have the ability to waive the rules and to allow topic on whatever agenda items that I see fit. And educating our children is a priority, but just as important, if not more important, as the education of our children is their safety. So for any parent or teacher or citizen who wants to discuss the safety of our school system here this evening, I'm going to sit here and listen to you. And I'll sit here and listen to you for as long as you want to talk to me regarding this topic. The only thing I ask of you in return is to be factual and to be clear on what it is you're telling us. Meaning, please ensure that your statements are grounded in facts. And that's all I ask of you this evening. And if you can stand to that one request, I'll be here and listen to you for as long as you want me to. So with that said, the first citizen who wants to speak is Rochelle Pettinati, and she wants to discuss alternative education as well as middle and elementary school education. Ms. Pettinati.
Hello, everyone. According to the AMA, one of the most significant predictors of a child's academic success is their connectedness to school. A child must genuinely believe that their school is a safe, caring environment where teachers, administrators, and staff are concerned about the whole child, physically, socially, emotionally, and intellectually. I would like to applaud the superintendent and the school committee for acknowledging and addressing these concerns in our middle schools. But those children that are exhibiting social, emotional, and academic difficulties did not wake up in the summer before 6th grade with these problems. These problems were allowed to proliferate throughout their elementary years. There is a jewel of an elementary school that is often overlooked or forgotten about in our district. That is the ACES program, housed, or the alternative elementary school it is sometimes referred to, that is housed at the Boys and Girls Club. I have taught in a variety of schools at almost all grade levels, and I can honestly say that the ACES program runs like clockwork. Students that have not been successful in a traditional classroom and school are flourishing and, more importantly, learning at that school. I taught there for 2 years, and it was an incredible experience. Bob, kudos to you and your staff. Please consider expanding upon this very successful program in elementary school, and perhaps we will not have the issues that we have in middle and the high school. Thank you.
Any questions of this committee to Ms. Pettinati?
Any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I see a number of people standing. There's empty seats. There's no need to stand. If you want to come down and grab an empty seat, you're more than welcome to. Our next citizen is Francesca Carroll, Morton Middle School. Ms. Carroll.
My name is Francesca Count, and I am the treasurer. I'm the current treasurer at for the Morton PTO, and the lovely ladies that are standing behind you are also in the Morton PTO, and they don't want to speak, but they wanted to stand with me and support me. So I spoke with you, or with your committee, and to the public last committee meeting, and I talked to you about some concerns that I had that were going on in Morton Middle School. In regards to, I think, children that maybe are aged out of the system or don't belong there, or that are struggling, that aren't working in the conventional classroom and that needed to be addressed. I was very concerned. I have 2 boys there, as we all have children there, that were very concerned with some of these students and some of the behavior and some of the incidents that were going on. We didn't speak of anything specifically, but there have been multiple incidents at the school that have brought all of this to head and to our attention. So you miraculously and unanimously voted to agree to put an alternative middle school. And I had about a day of celebration from that, and then a lot of different things started to occur. And one of the things that we, as a Morton PTO, wanted to convey to your committee and the public is we don't want anyone speaking for us. I know that people are concerned about what's going on, but we have children at that school. And when you write things, or when you contact the newspaper or the news, or post on Facebook that it's a dangerous place to go to school, or that children are bringing weapons to school, or that children are out of control, it makes children afraid to go to school. It makes parents nervous to drop their children off. It makes some mothers cry in the morning because you're nervous to send your child to school. Nobody is saying that we don't have problems. I don't think any of us disagree with any of it. But I think that we need to be respectful of children and their civil rights and not discuss topics that aren't really our business. We need to be respectful of parents that are dealing with serious issues with their children, and we don't need to create more drama. I don't like to complain about things that I don't think I can fix. So, tomorrow we're meeting as a PTO, and we would like to make some suggestions that we think that we can help with and that maybe can bridge the gap. I do think there's concerns. I think the alternative school will be great. I think hiring a new VP will be wonderful, and I think Mrs. Christofoli, I've already seen a huge impact in the past 2 weeks she's been there. But some teachers are very concerned. There are children that are unruly, and there are children that are disrespectful. So we need to address that issue. I think one of the biggest problems that we have is we've now combined 2 schools. So now we've combined the old Morton in the old building, the new Morton, we have extended day, and now we have Henry Lord students. We're not acting as a community, and I do think that that's something that we can help with, but we can't do it alone. If our principal is constantly dealing with curriculum and constantly dealing with discipline issues, she doesn't have time to plan dances and field trips and things that would help, I think, work for us to work together. So my concern or my question to you is, my daughter was able to go to CUFS, and they had a parent advocate there. And that position was to bridge probably the gap between administration and parents. It was a part-time position. I know that they got that because they were a failing school. But I think that's something that we're great. I mean, there's 25 of us, 30 of us that come every single week. We plan things. We don't have a problem with that. But we all have jobs, and a lot of us aren't available during the day. So we can come at night or we can do an event. But obviously it can't be something that any of us can take on regularly. On top of that, I think that we need someone that can speak Spanish and or Portuguese or both. So I don't know if any of us can do that, but I know, I can only do so much. So I think that's something that we could really work towards. I don't think it's something that, we could wait till next year. I think these things need to get addressed now. It can't wait any longer. I have an 8th grader. We can't wait till next year. I mean, we have kids that are in 8th grade that now you've taken from, the old Morton, they just haven't had a lot of attention on them. That now they put into this new building and the melding of the students, and we're trying to work as a community, but there's nothing, we're not meshing. So I think this is something that we need to do right away, and I'm hoping that we can come up with some solutions. So I know that the alternative school is going to be open at the end of January, so that will adhere to those issues. We have a new VP that is hopefully starting in the next month, and I'm hoping that maybe creating this position and hopes that they could come to meetings, they could talk to us, that they could work with our principal. Some people have suggested, which none of us agree with at this point, getting a new principal or making changes like that. That isn't going to help us. We've already been down that road. I don't really think we need a 3rd principal in 3 years. We've already had a lot of different vice principals. I just think that we need to, instead of just complaining all the time, we need to come up with solutions. So I'm looking forward to anything that you can think of that would help, that has worked in other middle schools. We're willing, we're here, and there's going to be tomorrow 25 more parents with me, and they're all willing to do whatever we can, because we say it all the time, but we are Morton. We are Morton. We want it to succeed. We want our children to learn and be happy and be a benefit to society. And we don't want any more negativity, and we want it to be a positive experience. We don't want any more negative connotations to our school.
First, let me commend you for having a very active PTO. It's important for a school to have their parents involved in what's going on inside the school building. One of the questions that I have for you, do you discuss topics such as school safety and curriculum within your PTO?
We just kind of got up and going last year. So the parents behind me they're in 7th grade now, so for a while I was the only parent for a while. And with them coming in, and then the new 6th graders coming in, we have a lot of parents. I think with a lot of PTOs, you get right down with doing fundraisers, and because we're trying to pay for field trips, and obviously come up with different things. So we're trying to send kids on field trips, and we plan some dances, but we haven't really. We just started last month with the student council.
Okay.
So I think in the student, we didn't want to mix none of the two, because then we get off topic.
Sure.
We can't kind of control the meeting and try to get things done with the kids. So that was the first meeting was last month, but it really hadn't come up about safety. Because really most of the parents that I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of parents, we started a Facebook page at the beginning of the school. We have about 75 members, and I am in contact with over 100 people because I try to get their emails when they join PTO, and I keep questioning people, and most of the people that I talk to say their kids have no idea what's going on.
Okay.
They're not aware of it, and I did go on the radio last week and speak about specific students, but Candy is here tonight, and her daughter Savannah I wanted her to speak tonight so that you could get a representation of what a real Morton student looked like. Savannah was too nervous, so
That's okay.
That's okay. But she did come from a Catholic school, and her mom was very concerned sending her to public school because she'd never been, and she just is flourishing. She's in student government. She made the field hockey team. She's a Morton cheerleader. So I'm getting to meet a lot of different parents from all different backgrounds with all different experiences, because I can only go from what my experience has been. And it hasn't been, I'm not saying it's all roses, it hasn't been. We've had a lot of growing pains, but I just think people need to be patient and not so alarming all the time, and
And how has your access been to the Morton principal? Has she opened her door to you?
She's always at our PTO meetings. I just feel like she's overwhelmed with a lot of issues. I mean, we've had we've opened a new building, we've melded 2 schools together. She's always available to me, but I'm kind of persistent, so she can ignore me. And I am the PTO, so she obviously is available to me. I can only speak for myself,
But you are the president of the PTO, correct?
technically that's not my title. I'm the treasurer, because I sign checks, but I'm the treasurer, and Stephanie is the assistant treasurer. But we have a leadership team. No, we didn't elect anyone because we wanted it to be a very open atmosphere, so people wouldn't feel like when they came they didn't have a voice. So we're very open to anyone coming to our meetings, and we always ask for suggestions, and everyone works really well together.
Any questions of the PTO? Mr. Mayor?
I received a few calls from parents, and they say the school is not safe. From 1 to 10, how safe is that school?
Are you able to answer the question?
And actually, it's a question. I don't really know what I would say to that, but
10 is
I have 2 boys there. I have an 8th grader and a 6th grader, and they haven't had any incidents where they've been threatened or anything out of the norm. Yes, they have seen fights, but I think that's the society we live in. I mean, we live in a violent society where people are constantly hitting each other, and it's unfortunate.
Thank you. Mr. Hawkins?
You have any?
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
a school improvement committee?
No,
No?
it's a school council, we just started it last month, so we don't have a school. I don't know what the difference is, I'm sorry. School improvement or school council?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll. Our next speaker is Kristen Ford.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Superintendent Brown, and members of the school committee. My name is Kristen Ford, and I'm a former teacher of the Fall River Public Schools, who left the district on their own accord. I stand before you today as the voice of students, especially my former students, who reached out to me for help. An assault on personnel, an overdose, a knife, Percocet pills, vodka, a fight club, bullying and harassment, swearing, racial slurs, and the list goes on and on. All of these things have happened in Morton Middle School, and something needs to be done. Morton Middle School sent home a letter to parents and guardians in response to the, quote, rumors that were circulating. But in the same letter, it assured the parents and guardians that they were all isolated incidents that were handled with the appropriate consequences being issued. How can the school department issue a letter in response to my open letter to the mayor by using the word rumors and then say that the incidents were all handled? How can an administrator and parent go on WSAR and speak about the 20 parent volunteers handing out fundraising orders at Morton without mentioning the fact that one of the 20 parent volunteers had to break up a fight between two female students while it took more than 10 minutes for security to arrive? Most importantly, why was none of the issues facing our students made public until after my letter surfaced? Did the administrators not care about the safety and security of our students until the rug was lifted? I will ask you again, why were the parents and guardians and citizens not made aware of these issues? We have a right. We have a right to know what goes on behind those doors that our children spend 7+ hours a day in. If it takes a village to raise a child, then a village must be made aware of the things affecting our children in order for us to help. Unfortunately, these problems and many other problems are not contained to just Morton Middle School. They exist in many of the public schools in Fall River. School violence is on the rise, and the number of "it won't happen in our school" type of catastrophic events is increasing. When will the administration realize something is wrong? Fall River is welcoming a horrific and violent act to take place within the four walls that should be the second safest place for a child. Eric Harris, one of the two attackers at Columbine High School, wrote in his suicide note, quote, "Your children who have ridiculed me, who have chosen not to accept me, who have treated me like I am not worth their time, are dead," unquote. While bullying is no excuse for the actions taken by the individuals responsible for these horrific events, bullying has been identified as a contributing factor leading to these acts of violence. Experts say bullying is a serious and widespread problem that can lead to school shootings and suicides. At the same time, they say it is dangerously underrated as schools and adults are not taking the problem seriously enough. And that is clearly evident in Fall River. Read the comments below my post on the mayor's page. Speak to the parents. Speak to the students. Bullying is a problem and is often handled with little to no consequences in Fall River, and that needs change. Glenn Stuxey, a school violence specialist at Michigan State University, said, quote, "Bullying is probably the most frequently occurring form of violence in American schools today, and it's really the engine that's driving the majority of violence. It's a huge problem. We have allowed a culture of abuse to thrive unchecked in our nation's schools, and we are paying for it with the bodies of our children," unquote. Whether people are predisposed to committing these acts or they commit them because the events that have occurred in their lives is irrelevant. The time to address these issues is before a violent situation erupts and ensuring that schools are safe environments for all and everyone is treated equally. I realize not every violent situation can be prevented, but that doesn't mean the city and the administration don't have the responsibility to use every resource available to attempt to prevent it. Protect these children before an "it won't happen in our school" type of catastrophic event happens in our city, rather than worrying about how many suspensions and detentions are logged onto the report you have to send to DESE. All of you are well aware that the school districts and administrators can be sued personally for money damages if they witness instances of bullying and various types of harassment and fail to take action. to address it and report it. And I will help any student who feels they are the victims of bullying by getting them in contact with the Massachusetts State Police so it can be handled appropriately in an unbiased manner by an external third-party investigation. Mayor Flanagan, recently you attempted to bring Fall River landlord David Colville up on criminal charges of child endangerment. When the clerk magistrate would not issue the charges against him, you made the statement that, quote, the facts that were presented went above and beyond the legal standard that was necessary for a complaint to be filed, unquote. I am wondering if criminal charges of child endangerment could be pursued on the administration. I am sure there are enough facts that go above and beyond the legal standard necessary for a complaint to be filed on this issue as well. According to the Department of Education, the total enrollment of students in the Fall River Public Schools is currently 10,138. The administration houses 10,138 vulnerable citizens, and that is scary. If anyone is a slumlord, it is the administration. Nelson Mandela said, quote, safety and security don't just happen. They are the result of collective consensus and public investment. We owe our children, the most vulnerable citizens in our society, a life free of violence and fear. Mayor Flanagan, you said, quote, as mayor, I will not let Magistrate O'Neill's decision deter me from protecting the health and safety of children, unquote, when asked about the decision to deny charges against Colville. As mayor, I hope you don't let the administration deter you from protecting the health and safety of our children. I am also here to make public the fact that the administration is tied to many big businesses in Fall River that carry a tremendous amount of weight with swaying the public opinion and vote, such as the Herald News and WSAR. How can the truth be brought out against the city administration if the city outlets that we trust to carry these stories are biased? I became friends with the majority of the staff that I worked with, so there is no doubt in my mind that you, the members of the school committee, have become friends with the city officials and school administration who you work so closely with. So I ask you, what is more important, the life and education of a child or maintaining a friendship? As educators, we take the unwritten vow to treat, care, and educate each and every child who passes through our classroom doors like our own children. I am a parent of a 5-year-old little girl, and I know the majority of you are parents, so let me ask you a hypothetical question. If a train was coming and you could save only 1 out of 2 people on the tracks, and it was between your child and a friend, whom would you save? I know 110% I am going for my child. Now with that said, if as educators, we take the unwritten vow to treat, care, and educate our students like our own children, shouldn't you place the children of Fall River above a friendship and stop them from the dangers of the oncoming train, also known as the administration? The way to tackle these problems is not to circle the wagons and hope for the best in order to protect the image of the city. The way to tackle these problems is to acknowledge publicly they exist and then work together, city officials, administration, local businesses, parents, students, and citizens, to meet them head on. Whether you believe me or not, the facts I've raised are supported and corroborated by many others. Just look around this room and you can see that this is the case. I will follow this meeting up with private meetings with the mayor, the superintendent, or whoever else wishes to meet with me and many others that are concerned about the safety and security of our students. Those meetings aside, my time here and this speech is now part of public record. You can choose to take action or not, but ask yourselves, what is the right thing to do, not the political thing to do? What is truly important, not what is important to the next election? What really needs to be done, and can we do it alone or do we need help? If it is hard for anyone in a position of power to separate what is right from what is politically smart, then ask yourselves, on what side of this issue do you want to be standing if, God forbid, there is a major act of violence in one of our schools? And will you think back to this day and wonder, could it have been prevented if only we listened and took action? In closing, Mayor Flanagan and members of the school committee, I know you probably feel that buying administrators out of their contract would be too expensive, being that one salary might be around $180,000 a year. But if you take the total enrollment of the Fall River Public Schools, which is 10,138 students, and divide that by the $180,000 salary, that would equal $17 per student. If you feel that spending an extra $17 per student this year is too much to maintain their safety and security, then please reevaluate the position you are in. With the amount of parents who pulled their children out of the public schools, the amount of parents who chose private school in the first place because they felt the public schools were not good enough for their children, and the amount of parents who are on the verge of pulling their children out, I am sure you have no problem having each of the 10,138 students' parents giving you the $17 themselves. It is a lot cheaper than the $3,000 or more they are paying or willing to pay for private school. My daughter is not even in the Fall River Public Schools, and I will be the first one to hand you $17. Thank you.
First, let me say it takes a lot of courage for you to stand and to deliver the message that you just delivered, and to not be a teacher in the school system or to have a child in the school system. You're obviously here because you care about what you see going on within the school system, and that's why I've given you the opportunity to speak here this evening. And I believe if you ask any parent within this auditorium, they would do anything to protect their child, even giving up their own life to do so. That's what it means to be a parent, right? So I would ask you, what recommendations would you make to this committee to improve school safety throughout the school district, not just specifically at Morton, but through any district or any school within the school system?
I think the first thing that you need to do, the administration of the school committee, is actually answer the telephone. I have parents, just numerous parents email me with their stories saying that they call. I had one parent tell me that she's waiting 2 years now to have a return email from one of the administrators, that they can't reach them. When they go in and they say their child is being bullied, that it's just brushed off. Bullying is a serious situation. The stuff that's going on is a serious situation, and it needs to be heard. And parents need to have that sit down. When a parent cannot sit down with the superintendent of schools, that's a problem. If my daughter was being bullied, I would be parked outside of Rock Street until she saw me, every single day. And I would give up my job if my daughter was being bullied to sit out there until she spoke to me.
I don't doubt that.
And that's crazy when people cannot meet with the administration, when it's just brushed to the side. Listen to the students. That's the biggest thing. Listen to the students. I'm here because I have so many of my students out here supporting me. I do this because I love them. They email me, they reach out to me, they're reaching out to a teacher. We have technically no obligation to each other anymore. Yet I support them and they support me. And why are they reaching out to me? Is it because they are not being heard by the administration? Because I think they're being heard from their teachers. I do, and I think that the issue with the teachers not taking it to the next level is because the teachers are bullied as well. As a former teacher, I saw bullying firsthand. Was I a victim of it? No, I wasn't.
Did you ever report it?
The bullying on the other teachers? Why? So I could lose my job? I have a mortgage. I'm here today because I have job security somewhere else. Teachers are fearful. They're fearful for their jobs. When I have teachers email me as well, like, thank you, for doing this. And you can be our voice now because they can't. Because one teacher emailed me and said that she liked a status and was brought into the office to be reprimanded. That's horrible. I lived in fear my 3+ years in Henry Ward here, in fear of my job. The things that the principals say, It threatens you. Teachers are not going to stand up unless they leave this district, unless you can promise that you will hear them out and not use their name. They're not going to speak.
Any questions from the committee? To Mr. Pavao?
Thank you. Ms. Clark, thank you for coming here this evening and sharing your concerns, I'm sure, the concerns of many parents and students. One of the things that concerned me, like I said, was that either you or other folks are unable to get in and meet with the principal or the superintendent. Have you met with the principal of Morton Middle School?
I have not.
Have you tried to meet with the principal?
I have not. I don't have a child there, I have students there, and I figure if she's not giving the parents the time of day, why am I going to attempt to? Let's make it public.
Well, that's an open-ended statement. You've got to try first before you can make a statement like that. If you're the advocate for these parents, I'm sure if you would address that to the principal, then if she refused to see you, then I think we need to address that.
Right, and I think that's honestly just hiding it more. Let's have her address me, say, hey, it's gonna change, and then it just keeps going and going.
And the reason I say that, because in your presentation, you said you received a number of concerns and complaints from parents and students. It would probably serve us best, all of us here, that if we had specifics, to say that there's a weapon in the school, or there is foul language in the school, or bullying in the school. Those are blanket statements. If you meant that for the school system, then I understand that. I don't expect you to go out and speak with every, the 10,000 kids. But if we're focusing in on one, I think it would have been to our interest, meaning the members of the committee, if we had heard from you, and I suggest you try to do that as soon as possible, make an appointment with the principal, and give her specifics. We don't necessarily need names, because that doesn't help. But,
I've read some of the information coming across on Facebook and emails. But I'm also concerned over the fact was, did you refuse to meet with the superintendent? Because that's what I've been told.
She had sent me an email. I sent her an email actually asking about the citizens input. I sent her an email back, and then her secretary had sent one to me asking when I could meet, and I said that I would get back because she wanted to meet with relevant people on her staff. Well, I want to meet with relevant people too, so I had to get them together. I did not decline a meeting. I said I would get back to the secretary. One, I'm not going there without legal counsel. So I need a legal counsel, I need parents, I need students. She's going to meet with me, I want to meet with the relevant people on my end as well. So.
May I ask you a question? What do you need legal counsel?
I am sure she would have legal counsel. Would Attorney Savvy?
I can assure you, and I'm only on the committee for another 3 weeks, but I can assure you, if you made an appointment with the sitting superintendent right now, she would not have legal counsel. I would instruct her, as well as this committee, and I know I had the support of this committee, that it's her job, not the job of this school committee, to deal with concerned parents and citizens. That's part of her job.
Right.
And she needs to do that. Well, just let me finish. She needs to do that. So I encourage you to please meet with the superintendent as soon as possible. Because then we have to give her an opportunity, as well as the principal, to come back with a plan that will address these concerns.
I will absolutely do that, and I will bring with me the parent who's waiting 2 years now for her to respond.
I'm still waiting a few years too.
I can't get into those specific, but maybe that's something the parent can talk with. I can't, because what am I gonna ask the parent?
So, it's a matter of you coming up the chain of command.
Right.
We are a policy-making body. We're not, and you know that, you're an educator. We're not at the administrative level. Okay? We can listen to your concerns, but the arrow goes right back around both to the principal and the superintendent
Right.
to address the issues. Okay? I met with the superintendent and the principal this afternoon, and I got a picture of, yes, we have many problems at the school. We have 686 kids. And I said, and I asked the principal, of those 686 kids, how many kids from your school would you be recommending to go into a special educational program? And her number was 15 to 20. She felt that those were the troublemakers in her building that are giving us most concern. This committee has agreed to start off the alternative school 50 kids and grow as the months and years go on. But if we alleviate
The most troublesome kids from that school, with the assistance of the parent group, and I think the parent group need to get another committee going on their side, as well as concerned parents, the job can be done. We have to give an opportunity for everyone to roll up their sleeves and work for the common good. Because here, we're not here to give me applause or boos or you as well. We're here for the kids. And that's what the concern is. We don't need to paint it, we don't need to direct it. We need to address it. And the way to address it is through communication. And I know that when you get reasonable and intelligent people at a table, you'll come out with reasonable and intelligent solutions to your problems. And if that hasn't started, it needs to start immediately. Because each and every day that goes by, if I'm a kid that's being bullied, it hurts me. And I need to have that addressed. But you also in your presentation, not only focused on Morton, and I agree with your statement, that bullying is a national problem. It's not only in Fall River. And that has to stop. Thank goodness my boy's not subject to bullying. I wasn't when I was a kid, so I don't know what it feels like. But I've seen the results of kids who have been bullied, and it's not good. So we need to address those issues. We need to address the issues that when a parent wakes that kid up at 6 o'clock in the morning, that kid is willing to go to school, get their lessons in, and come out of that school with a good future. And I think that can be done. I honestly believe it can be done if we begin to work together, stop pointing fingers, and I'm not addressing you personally, stop pointing fingers and get to the subject matter. Because, you know, it's easy for us. I'm going to be leaving like you did when you left the school system. I'm going to be leaving, but part of me is still going to be behind. But I'm leaving on a good note. I'm not leaving on a bad note. And I think, and I'm available, I'm still a citizen here in Fall River. I'm still in a position where I understand education, I understand the situation. But the problem is not going to be resolved until we put it on the table with reasonable, responsible people who have a vested interest in that school. It's easy to sit and point fingers, but if you're concerned about it, folks, roll up your sleeves and come to a solution. Because every day that passes by and you don't do that, your kid is suffering. And that shouldn't be so. We should have every one of our kids
going to school with a clear conscience that they're there to learn and not be bullied, not be harassed. We should not subject our teachers to foul language from students, because that's unacceptable. And we should hold the parents responsible for those actions. Because if I get a call, or my kid was suspended because he used foul language with a teacher, I'll tell you, I don't know what kind of soap my wife keeps under the table, but I'm sure I'd be washing my kid's mouth out. So we need to address not only the students' safety, the safety of our staff, and the welfare of our parents, and more importantly, the welfare of our kids. And I think this might be the icebreaker this evening. And let's not go away from this in a negative way. Let's go away from this in a positive way. In an idea that we're going to meet and we're going to resolve this as a unit, using the parents who have a vested interest in that school, have their kids there, each and every one of you, along with any advocates, and along with the administration of the school and the school system. And I'm sure if that all comes together, the support of this committee will be unanimous in supporting any programs or solutions that you might come up with. I'm sorry, I see some hands. See, I can't recognize you. Under Robert's Rules of Order, I can't do that. Only the chairman can recognize you. I cannot recognize you. But please, make sure that all of the communication lines, and I ask you again, give the principal a call, give her an opportunity to speak with you and anyone that's concerned about what's going on in her school, so she can address the issues or give an explanation as to what she's doing, as well as the superintendent, because I think once that ice is broken, you'll find out there are things going on now to resolve some of the issues that are being
How
concerned.
about when you've spoken to the principal and you've made reports and nothing's gotten done?
Exactly.
And when your son picks up on himself because he's getting bullied and he gets suspended.
When
you have to take him out of public school and pay for a private.
And nothing has been done.
Because nothing
So this is why we need to meet, to be sure that there's a line of communication,
I just don't
that if
understand
you
how that
have,
hasn't come about.
if you have a concern, it goes through this line of communication, and people are held responsible. If you get people and they're not held responsible, you're not gonna get
So
anything
the
done.
principal's not held responsible for making the several reports that I've made as a parent.
Again, I can't recognize you, I mean, I recognize you.
I'm saying as a parent, I've made several reports.
Mr. Mayor,
We are the parents. We are the parents. You
I am
should
a parent.
recognize us.
I
I'm
have
going to
to
ask
take
that
my...
you hear me out for a second, okay?
Mr. Mayor, thank you, I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Pavao. I'm going to go through the list of people who signed up.
I know I didn't sign up.
I know you didn't, I don't see your name on here. So then I'm going to take a 2-minute recess. During that recess, whoever wants to speak to the superintendent, I suggest you come up and do so. Now I'm going to instruct her to stay on the stage and take the names and phone numbers of the parents who want to speak with her personally. Then as mayor and chair of the school committee, I'm going to follow up with her tomorrow to make sure that she returns all those phone calls. So I ask you to do it.
I already took him out of school for his safety. Now he's in
Yeah,
a private
I
school
mean-
that I'm paying $3,000 a year for.
It shouldn't be that way.
But it
We
did
had
because
to.
I had,
This is 2 years he's been bullied.
they have several
Two.
reports on file. And
It
nothing
shouldn't-
got
And
It shouldn't be
we
that
had
way.
to pull him
Nothing got
out
done
and put him in
whatsoever.
private school.
I'll-
Because he texted me one day while I just started a job, 4 times he was gonna get jumped by 4 kids.
And I want to talk to you.
4
So
kids.
let me
So
go through
he's
the
at
list.
public school,
Now
private.
he's on a private school.
Let me go through the list.
Public.
Then we'll take a 2-minute
I had to
recess.
take him out of Norton this
And
year.
then I'm going to speak with you, okay? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I say one more thing before
Go
I
ahead.
You said that you were going to ask the superintendent if she followed up with those calls tomorrow. I suggest you take that list yourself with the names and numbers and call each parent to make sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa sitting right?
Good evening, my name is Melissa St. Lauren. First of all, I just want to let the parents raise their hand. Anyone who is here waiting for a call still from the superintendent? And the mayor are over here.
2 years now.
So it's not just more than one. I created the page to keep our kids safe. I know Kristen personally. Because of the bullying and violence in the Florida schools, I moved to Dayton in 2009 as my daughter was entering middle school and I feared for her safety. I also currently own property in Florida and pay taxes in the city. I have nephews, cousins, and friends, children who are currently in the school here, and I fear for them dearly. One of the major concerns I am seeing is the lack of communication with the administration. I personally emailed school committee members who are on Facebook to make them aware of Ms. Ford's letters and concerns. They did not respond, but it showed that they saw the message. A week had gone by, and some committee members were contacted by the public who were shocked they had no idea what was going on. My sister also created a group, Keep Our Kids Safe, a couple years ago. She tried to stop the bullying. She tried to stop the violence in our schools. However, she was pushed away by the administration, some of you who are here today. She eventually left the district herself because no one would help her. The PTO from Morton today stated how we shouldn't make the children panic at Morton having this Facebook page. I'm extremely glad it went public. It made parents aware of the major safety issues, and maybe now some parents can be at home discussing these topics with their children and teaching these children how to handle it and be aware of the situations when children are overdosing in the cafeterias. Some children, like my own, never witnessed the children fighting and bullying and don't know what to do. So now parents at home can sit down and talk to their children and say, when you see two other children fighting and ripping hair out and busting faces, go find a teacher, go find someone. Your question was, is this school safe? I don't know, you tell me 122 suspensions in 2 months? I lived in this city 30 years. I was very proud, born and raised there. I went to Diamond with the mayor himself, with Mr. Martins as my administrator. We didn't have these kind of problems in Diamond. Tell me why. Why? Because the school didn't have to keep you there. They would throw you out. We had dogs come in if there was any signs of drugs whatsoever. I haven't seen that in the Florida public schools. Where are the dogs? That's the biggest difference I see is when you and I went to Diamond, when you were administrator at Diamond. No one put up with what they're putting up with now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mark Dozios?
Sorry, man. My name is Brown. I'm a committee. I am a concerned parent for a child that is at Morton at this time. My son is a victim of bullying. I have a set of parents here that if they want to be recognized, they've had to move their child. The child has Asperger's and was bullied, was threatened to be killed in Morton. They recently moved and they let me know tonight that in the month that he's been at the other school, Talbot, he's felt more safer in that 1 month than he has the whole time at Morton. My son has had to defend himself because he didn't want to be beat up by other kids when one kid was picking on him. So he got beaten after school waiting for the YMCA bus because that's what he does. He waits 45 minutes there for the bus, unsupervised from anybody from the school. Unacceptable to me. If they're going to wait out there, and I know it's a team effort between Morton and the Y, but if he's going to be out there for half an hour, 45 minutes, there should be somebody watching them, or at least have them wait inside. He got beat up in the park, which he shouldn't have been up there, but he was made to go up there. My son is a scout, and he's not a fighter. He came home with a black eye, scrapes all up and down his arms and legs from a kid that had him on the ground pounding his head. Unacceptable. If kids are beating up the security officer, and there's none there now, there needs to be one put in place. I do not feel safe sending my kid to school every day. I have a daughter, she's in Durfee, she feels 100% safe. My son and other kids' parents and the kids don't feel safe at that school. Something needs to be done.
Those
Thank you.
are?
Yes.
Thank you.
Kendra Neto?
Ms. Neto? Kelly Mello?
Good evening. I had all intentions on speaking here tonight. I'm too emotional.
That's okay.
My incident took place 5 years ago. Attorney Assad and other people are well aware of it.
And did you contact me regarding this?
I did,
I read it.
and I personally would like to speak to Meg Mayo Brown. So I just don't understand. It's not a new issue. It's been ongoing. This happened 5 years ago in my son's school. I begged for help, begged. And it took me, my son testifying against his 5th grade teacher for me to even get any kind of acknowledgement from the school system that there was a problem in that classroom.
How's your son doing today?
He's 15, he's a sophomore in Durfee, and he's doing really well.
Good.
But I'm not gonna stand up here and badmouth anybody. But I really would like to speak with you personally. Thank you.
Thank you. Lionel Kidd?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Members, committee. I just wanted to express my concern. My wife and I have a child. Thankfully, he's not being bullied, at least not right now. But my concern is that he's a very young, 11-year-old, 6th grader, just turned 11 in August, the end of the month of August. And he's, we found out doing homework one evening that he shares classes, a class or two, I believe, with 8th graders. Now, we're setting ourselves up for kids to get bullied. When you have an 8th grader that may have been kept back once. So now this kid's not just like 13, he'd be 14 going on 15. My kid's 11. We're setting up people to get bullied like that. You know, he's an honor, made the honor roll, I'm proud to say this year.
Congratulations.
I mean, it's concerning, and I'm sure other people must have the same experience. But I would like to see something be done in that area, because I don't think that 11-year-olds should be sharing classrooms with eighth graders, 6th graders. And I could see in a high school you might have a sophomore, maybe junior, sophomores, and see like them as they get older. But he's not mature enough. They're not mature enough. Some of the stuff I'm sure he's told us, there are some things he listens to and hears in the 8th graders. There's a few of them in the classes. They're the ones, he said, that start the trouble. And it prevents them all from learning because there's just a few bad apples. And he said that's the only time that he does not feel safe after school. It's the only time. Thankfully for me, as a parent, a concerned parent, it's the only time. My heart goes out to these other people. I mean, but I just want to make sure that we can address that. Maybe we can remedy this going forward. But I know it's not, going to happen overnight. But it's something to visit. You know what I mean? And to maybe we can make a change in that regard. That's something else I was going to say. I forgot. But that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have all the answers, and I'm not going to kid you and say that I do, but let me make this suggestion to you. If you feel there is something wrong going on with the school system, no matter what it may be, I would encourage you to contact your student's teacher. If you feel you're not getting anywhere with your student's teacher, there's your student's principal. If you feel you're not getting anywhere with your student's principal, there's the superintendent. And if you feel you're not getting anywhere with her, then you have this committee. And you're here tonight because you're frustrated, you're upset, and you feel you really don't have anywhere else to turn, and that's why I'm here listening to you. But I'm going to take a 2-minute recess. Is there a motion from this committee to instruct the superintendent to stay on stage with the secretary to take the phone numbers and names of the parents who want to meet with her?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Motion made by Mr. Mayor, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Andre. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Ayes have it. And any parent who wants to speak with me, I'll be more than happy to speak with you. 2-minute recess.